We're getting closer. We're getting closer. But the good thing is that the data is making sense. It's stable. It has to go a lot of interrogation, as you can imagine, from a technical point of view to get it right. There's lots of new measurements in there, some of which are experimental, some of which haven't been measured anywhere in the world. So you've actually got to get 12 months of data before you can really interrogate it properly, and then 15 months of data before you can see any trending analysis. But we will be launching it next year. We're not setting a date for it yet, but it's all coming together on plan as we anticipated. It's very exciting for the newspaper industry because we'll be able to talk about data that we just don't have at the moment.
We might be close by the next time we get in. Do the newspaper works get involved at all in the debate about regulation of the sector, and if not, do you have a view on it yourself?
Well, we do from time to time. Mark Collins, as you know, had a fair bit to do with the Media Council. We've looked at the convergence review, obviously, the media inquiry, but we're waiting to see what the government does with that. That'll be interesting. Obviously, anything that we're strong believers in self-regulation, and anything that impinges on freedom of the press, we'd obviously have major problems with. I think that that's a threat on democracy, and there are other things. What a public interest test is, nobody quite understands. It raises a lot of questions, probably from you, James, as well. So we will look forward to seeing what the government has to say about all of those things.
Tony, it's been great to chat to you again, and lots going on. Looking forward to next week as well, of course. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Tony Hale there from the Newspaper Works. Stay with us. We're taking a very quick break here on Media Week. After that, the 3rd anniversary of digital radio's launch in Australia. We'll have a look at the celebrations. Well, breakfast radio teams from across the nation joined forces and last week celebrated digital radio's 3rd birthday. The new technology helping to deliver content to niche markets with more and more devices being sold. Well, of course, our co-host James Manning, editor and publisher of Mediaweek, was at the Sydney broadcast with our very own Taylor Singh as well. And just looking at the tone of the event and how it compared to 3 years ago at the first launch there, there were a couple of no-shows, notable no-shows too. Kyle and Jackie O.
Disappointing. Kyle and Jackie O weren't there, and Alan Jones, the 2 highest-rating breakfast shows in the market, if you like. So I've heard various reasons why they weren't there, but they weren't. So, but it'd be nice if they, if this happens again, just to actually get everybody there.
What were some of the reasons?
Well, things like Kyle and Jackie O, it's a massive show. They've got a big team of producers. How could they get it all along there? They've got 2 sensors and stuff like that. So it's a big production to take this show on the road. The sensors like to have line of sight. Could they have been set up down there too? So it's a bit hard. Alan, I don't think Alan likes doing OBs. I'm not sure about why. He was on air this week, but he didn't go down there. So.
All right, but it was
a great day, yeah. It was different. It was down by the quay, which was nice. It was funny. It was right at Circular Quay, Opera House in the background, but everybody was facing the other way. But I guess that doesn't matter. It was on grass, which was a little different this year. We're in Martin Place, if you remember back last time we covered it. So we had terrible storms the night before, so it was wet underfoot. But it was a lovely morning apart from that, and everybody had a good time. It was a great feeling down there.
Well, as we mentioned, Sky News Business's Taylor Singh was there with you at the event. This is her report.
Radio rivalry was put aside for one morning as breakfast broadcasters came together to celebrate digital radio's 3rd birthday. Sales of new technology have defied retail trends. Commercial Radio Australia CEO Joan Warner says it has reinvigorated the audio sector.
We've come a very long way, James. We are now at 1.3 million people listening in just 3 years. We've got nearly 1 million receivers sold, and we've got time spent listening to digital radio more than twice that of listening to radio on the internet. So that's phenomenal progress for a new technology.
Smartphones have also played an integral role into the extended reach of the medium as consumers listen in through mobile apps.
AW probably led the charge in terms of iPhone downloads, and we a few weeks ago launched the Android, and the Android has almost taken up to it. The growth has been exponential, and I know that apps took a lot of growth from iPhones and then we moved forward with Androids, but the Android uptake has surprised us just how quick it is. If you listen to AM in your car before the nice Toyotas with the DAB Plus here now in it, you really, the mono sound of AM is a bit of a challenge, but it is great content. Now, if you get it on an app, it sounds even better. Even on the internet, it sounds better. So digital for us has been terrific. The apps, I think, will be the new format.
The strongest indicator of the power of digital radio was highlighted in the crowd surrounding SBS Pop Asia. The station outshined its commercial counterparts with the appearance of Korean pop group Newest. And while there were some noticeable names missing, it was hard not to enjoy the atmosphere.
Sort of get on with, actually we all get on with each other really, the other shows.
I think so. I think we're all here because we're grateful to have a job that we love and everyone likes each other.
Yeah.
This is like a Radio Easter show and it has a similar smell to it.
Yeah.
Nova's Sydney breakfast team, Fitzy Whipper, had a double celebration, marking their first year in breakfast radio. The duo are giving away over $250,000 in their Champagne Showers promotion and had some interesting investment advice for the winners.
Just given away $18,000 the other day to a person who was a uni student, which was good. Another one was a government worker, so that would have been taxed at about 60%.
Fitzy's had some great advice. I know that you suggested investing in a horse, straight to the star, and you said you could go and have a punt with him, with Fitzy on the weekend, which is awesome.
As for management, the next step is drawing revenue from new digital channels. But Southern Cross Austereo's Jeremy Simpson says it's an investment for the future.
At this point in time, we're still looking at how we can actually make some revenue on it. We're looking at some client-funded opportunities as well through the spectrum that we've got, and I think a couple of those will come off in the future. But really, this is absolutely about looking forward in the next 5 to 10 years.
Taylor Singh, Sky News Business.
So it looked like a great event, and of course that Sydney broadcast just one of 5 being held around the country to celebrate that 3rd anniversary of the launch of digital radio. Well, let's just turn to some of the other major news out of the radio sector this week, and our co-host James Manning, the sacking of Darren Hinch. Is he ever going to be back on 3AW, do you think?
Yeah, I think it surprised a lot of people, particularly Darren, after he finished his show on Monday night this week, called into management. They put a release out saying, look, we could be working with him again if we come to some agreement. I think they might envisage some sort of commentary role for him on across the network, perhaps, something we could do, and he'd be, a bit of an asset for perhaps at 2UE, or he has worked in Sydney before without great success, but he's a big name that 2UE could maybe do something with. But there's a bit of doubt whether he'll be back on air. He's actually off on leave at the moment. The station announced today that Tom Elliott hasn't replaced him. The show's going to be longer, 3 hours, slightly different format. Darren's supposed to be back in about, I think, the end of September to take the show through to the end of the year, but whether that will happen or not remains to be seen.
Just to some other news, of course, another interesting development after the Seven Group result, or alongside it, was the fact that Ryan Stokes has now been appointed the Chief Operating Officer of Seven Group, and this, of course, follows what you were talking about last week, him being appointed to the board of Seven West Media. So what are you seeing here? Really being groomed as heir apparent?
Yeah, absolutely. It just looks like it's another step in that direction, doesn't it? Again, but he's well versed in all parts of that business. He spent a lot of time in China, where they have some big investments. So again, he's got his fingerprint sort of already across all parts of the business.
Just turning to some other news as well, Starcom MediaVest has downgraded its profit forecast for 2012.
Sure, we heard this is something they do every year, and they've done a half-year update. We talked about it at the end of last year, 3.8% ad growth they were expecting this year. It's been revised down now to 1.3. So they talk to a lot of advertisers, the marketing people talk about their ad budgets, and they found out that for the last half of calendar 2012, only a third of those budgets will increase. So that means all the rest are going to be either flat or they'll cut their spending.
Just looking at Beyond International as well, listed production company, and it reported a pretty good year.
Yeah, good little business, about $90 million in revenue. I think net profit around about $10 million out of that. They do things like 3 main parts of the business: TV, nearly half of TV production, make things like Selling Houses Australia and Mythbusters for the US market.
Just turning to some of the rights deals, sports rights deals, of course, it was all about NRL TV rights last week, but just looking at some of the other deals, V8 Supercards and also the Football Federation. Yeah,
it's rumoured V8 Supercars will leave 7, go to 9 in a deal that might include some twilight meets. That deal hasn't got across the line yet, so we'll see what happens there. Yeah, Football Federation expected to do a deal, better known to soccer by a lot of viewers, but do a deal with Fox Sports and perhaps SBS getting back into the game there.
News Limited boss Kim Williams has also received an honour for support for the industry.
Yeah, at the Augies Awards last week, that's the Australian Writers Guild, Kim was sort of given some recognition, and for various roles. I mean, Foxtel, of course, we know him very well, but before that at Fox Studios Australia, he was also a key player in the sort of the movie industry in particular.
We have 1 minute left to have a quick look at the ratings. This is for week 34 for free-to-air first. And James, really, how's that? I mean, this is obviously for part one.
Part one, yeah, we're in a bit of a lag there, but yeah, part two did very well as well. So a big, and they've given the slot over to House Husbands, so hopefully they'll get some ratings magic for that too.
And what speculation, we could see some other sports stories dramatised as well?
Yeah, absolutely. Shane Warne, maybe a bit buzz about him, and of course Super League, which I'm not so sure if they'd actually go and do that, but Shane Warne looks a certainty, I would have thought.
All right, just looking at the top 5 sport on subscription TV for week 34 there, an AFL match at the top, and the top 5 non-sport, Kevin's Grand Design again, the top most watched there for lifestyle.
Absolutely.
James, always good to get your thoughts on everything going on in the media space.
Thanks,
there is a
Bridie.
lot. Thanks so much. James Manning there, editor and publisher of Mediaweek. That's all we've got time for. Thanks for your company.